Everyone.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Hi, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. So today, we will talk about Lightning Web Components. Okay. We'll give it a minute for others to join. Let's start. Okay. Okay, I think we're good to start. Let's start. You guys able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So hope everyone is doing good. So now this is this is for reviewing the UI capabilities. Okay. To give a quick background of where we are. So last week we talked about this declaratives, right? So we started seeing the Apex programming where the controller logics can be implemented. Okay, and via programmatic approach, we can build user interfaces as well. Like, we can build Visual Force pages. We can build Lightning Web Components, Aura components. Okay, all of these are programs which are written to build UI for applications in Salesforce. Okay, this is what we are going to view. Okay, this is what we are trying to explore more. And Salesforce has promoting Lightning a lot because as I said, like 7 years back, I believe they started promoting Lightning, and Lightning is a new UI promoted by Salesforce. Okay. Earlier we used to have a different view. You can go to switch to Classic in your developer edition and see how the view was, and all of you guys are exposed to Lightning now. Okay, so we will see how LWCs are used to build programmatic user interfaces. Okay, and this is just the basics of LWC that we will review. Okay, I believe all of you guys have exposure on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? Basics, HTML, CSS, JavaScript.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, so since cloud applications, right? They need websites. Like anything that we talk cloud, web, all are like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. All user interfaces are rendered as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, I would say 90% are rendered as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The others can be like your file servers, where you can download files, download audios have different formats, but 90% of them are rendered via HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So web technologies are like needed if you are building any cloud application or any web application. Even if you build a web application, you can make it more interactive, and it can be used in mobile directly. So we call it as web progressive application, where you can just change the settings and we can use it as web app, like mobile app. Okay. So web technologies is fundamental, is basic for building any UI in a web and cloud application. Okay. Having said that, HTML, CSS, JavaScript combined together are web technologies. Can anyone tell me what HTML is, what CSS is, and what JavaScript is?
Sir, HTML means a hypertext markup language, which
Okay.
gives a basic structure of a website.
It gives the basic structure of the web page.
CSS,
Okay.
yeah, web page. And CSS means a cascading style sheet, which is very useful to styling a web page. And JavaScript gives a functionality.
It is used for styling the web page, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you say styling, what do we mean by styling? Like, structure, I understand. It gives the skeleton. When we mean by styling, what are we, can we be more specific?
Sir, give a style like colors and layouts.
Okay. Yeah, styling, we provide color, you provide what font to use, you provide whether it is italic, regular, bold,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
We can able
Okay.
to create responsive website using media queries.
Okay, you can make it more responsive using media queries. Makes sense. Okay. Cool. And JavaScript?
So JavaScript is used to add functionality to our elements that we create using HTML.
It is used to add functionality to elements. Example?
So like a button, if you press a button, what kind of functionality it has to add?
Okay. Okay, cool. So now I don't know whether I found this meme long time ago. HTML, CSS, yes. Okay. Yeah. Right. So as you can see, HTML provides the structure, CSS provides the presentation, JavaScript is the action. Okay. So yeah, not this one. I have seen something cool, but yeah, this absolutely conveys the message, right? Structure, presentation, action. There is no action, it is of not much value. Okay. There is no presentation, again, it is not much used. If there is no structure, it is useless. So these three combined together builds us an interactive, it provides a very good user experience. Okay. So structure, style, action. So this is just to keep things simple, and it helps us understand what each does. Okay. Okay. So again, W3 schools you all would have explored. So this will help us learn the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. Uh, can you guys tell me what versions are we using for HTML? HTML version. Which version are we using now? Okay.
HTML
CSS. CSS.
CSS3.
JavaScript.
ES6.
ES6. Okay. I'll see. Are we using ES6 now? I think we're using ES16. Second revision is ES6. We're now using ES16. But yeah, ECMAScript is the standard. So ES16 is what we are using. 24. Script. Sorry, ES15 we are using. Yep, ES15 is what we are using, which is 2024 15th edition. Okay, so every year, like, we get updates. So JavaScript particularly moves, like, progresses, and the browsers, they take time to catch up. Like, the features are highlighted, which is controlled by worldwide, like W3 consortium. And as the features are released, web browsers like Safari, Chrome, Firefox, they take time to implement those features in their browsers. Okay, so people tend to stick to ES6 because, like, it is more stable, but we make progress every year. Okay, cool. Okay, so here, like, Lightning Web Components is a framework built by Salesforce. Okay, it is a open source framework, LWC.tech. So this is an open source. Anyone can use it. The source code is available. Okay, it is a lightweight framework built on top of HTML, CSS, JavaScript to deliver, like, fast components, to build, like, components. Okay. As part of HTML5, okay, we have something called HTML elements. Okay, if you go to any HTML, what do we call this? HTML, like, every markup that we do, this is called an element, right? Every tag, all of these are elements, and the attributes, the properties that we use in the element are called attributes. So Salesforce introduced, sorry, W3 consortium introduced HTML custom elements, okay, as part of HTML5. And custom elements means, like, you can build your own tag. As part of the elements, you access the tags which are already exist in the in the language. As part of the custom elements, you can build your own element. So HTML5 introduced custom elements. Okay, this will help us build our own elements. Like, you can have Rian as an element, and you can develop it and you can use it in your pages. Okay, you can build your own element called, like, Gomati, and you can use it. So that capability was introduced, and that is the the fundamental concept behind the web components. Okay, so the idea is, the usage of web is getting increased, but the features or limitations were, like, restricted. So the web components were added to give that custom capability for the businesses to deliver, or to, like, to enhance the experience of the users interacting with their website or with their applications. Okay, so we building our own custom elements was introduced in HTML5, and this is a very, like, big breakthrough. Okay, this absolutely nullified many frameworks. Okay, so earlier, like, we used to have frameworks like Angular, React, and all, right? So those frameworks were, like, the features that were exist in that framework has been, like, introduced in HTML itself. So the need for the frameworks are, like, has come down. Okay, so as part of the web components, we have custom elements. We can build our own elements in HTML. Okay, so Lightning Web Components is a framework which revolves around, like, these web components. Okay, so web components use custom elements. It uses Shadow DOM. Can anyone tell what is DOM? Document Object Model.
Programming
Document
interface
object
of a web
model,
page.
sir.
Okay, someone said programming interface. Can you repeat that?
Programming interface of a web page.
Perfect. Yes. So actually, DOM is the document object model. What it does is, like, it creates a node structure for the page. And this node structure is accessible in our JavaScript. Okay, the action part, right? So the action interacts with the web page via DOM. Now there is a concept called Shadow DOM, which introduced recently, and the Shadow DOM helps us to add nodes to the page, add a new content in the page, and it also provides more security, you cannot directly go and change the DOM, right? And so it also provides uh, like uh, there is a concept called reusability, right? You can build components and you can add the components via Shadow DOM, and it is more secured and it doesn't impact any of your page style, structure, all those things. Okay, so Shadow DOM is another key feature of web components. So you have custom elements, you have Shadow DOM. Okay, and this Shadow DOM helps us add the elements or the components that we are building to the web pages. Okay, so this is just the structure. So here the main advantage, right, of the Shadow DOM is we would be able to without impacting the HTML, the actual structure, we would be able to add content to the pages. Okay, and templates and slots, this is another critical thing. Okay, so they provide us uh, these are the basic HTML element that provides us the option to insert content into the pages. Okay, so this is used to populate Shadow DOM. Okay, which we used to add web component into the Shadow DOM via the template. The template gives us the window to add Shadow DOM. Okay, so I want you guys to understand this. You have HTML elements, we have custom elements, and we have Shadow DOM, and we are using templates and slots to add components that we are developing for our use cases. Okay, this gives us more flexibility on the UI development. Okay, and LWC is a framework, lightweight framework. It's I think it is very minimal code, like 7 KB or something. Okay, it uses the web components, and this framework provides us the ability to build components faster. Okay, we'll see how we create a Lightning component, but I want to make sure we all understand the concept where the Lightning web component comes into scope. Okay, HTML elements, expansion of elements to custom elements, which we call components, and a framework around the web components, we call it as Lightning web component. And this is open source. Anyone can have the access to the source code. Okay. So far, any questions? Again, I know that I'm just giving the overview. We will definitely check through each and everything. We will create the components and all. We will understand the JavaScript functions, JavaScript methods, okay, JavaScript capabilities. We will review that, but I don't want to spend too much time in the first week. So first week we'll give the overview. Okay. So this transition clear, right? HTML, web components, Lightning web components. Azim, any questions on this?
Sir, this framework is used to create single page applications or
yes, we it's not single page application okay. I will talk about single page applications. Okay. So basically, single page application means you have a web page where, like, the routing didn't happen much, right? All the actions are driven in one page. Okay, that's called single page application. Okay, yes, using LWC, you can build a single page application. There is no problem with that. Okay.
Okay.
So it will help us because since it's a single component, you can add dynamically show components which are needed based on the actions that are performed in the page. Okay. Yes, LWC can be used to create single page applications. Okay. Imran, questions?
No question, yes, thank you.
Okay, fair enough. See, the thing that I want you guys to understand is if you know all of these, like, the structure, how the structure is got updated, okay, then it will be easier for us to build components and understand the real use case, the real need. Okay, why I need to build a component, right? Everything is visible. At the end of the day, everything transforms into basic HTML elements. Okay, the custom components, again, it uses the basic elements only. Okay, you have table, at the end of the day, it will transform into table rows, table header, table data. Right? So it simplifies our coding effort. It simplifies our development effort. We create reusable components, right? So all of these elements, if you guys see it, they are reusable. They have certain attributes. I'll just go with tables. Okay, I'll take div. Okay, so they accept certain attributes, and this is heavily reused. So all of the highly reused, code, they put it as the elements, right? Anything that we feel is more reusable in our project or in our use case, we build custom elements. We build web components. We build LWC. Okay, all of this development is to reduce our build time. Okay, great. So in order to get started with Lightning Web Components, okay, there are certain prerequisites. I hope all of you guys can install VS Code and SFDX in your system. Okay, I know today I don't want to review that, but later today I want you guys to make sure you install like VS Code, Visual Studio Code, and you do a SFCLI setup. Okay. I'll just share the link, what is needed. Okay. Okay, so we just talked about HTML, CSS, JavaScript. We talked about Lightning Web Component framework. Okay, this framework is open source, but this Lightning Web Component has been developed or implemented in Salesforce as well. Okay, so you have open source version. This is the framework, and you have implementation of the Lightning Web Components in Salesforce. So there are two variants. One is open source, another one is Salesforce, version. So in Salesforce version, we have components, base components which are built. Okay, so like how you have HTML elements in LWC Salesforce, we have base components. These are components which are built by Salesforce. Okay, whatever that you see, Lightning input, right? I'll just go see. The input UI that you see in the Salesforce Lightning screens are built with this Lightning input. Okay, so this is the base element that we use. So LWC provides base elements like how HTML has HTML elements. Okay, here we call it as base components. Okay. Okay. How open source Lightning Web Components differ from Salesforce instance? There are only three things. I'll just show a quick graph. WC in Salesforce. Okay. Just a second. Okay. I forgot where I have it. Let me see whether I have it in my notes. No, it's not here. Not create. LWC Salesforce. I'm trying to find one diagram where, like, it explains how LWC Salesforce and how LWC open source are different. Yep, I got it. Yes. So when we talk about Lightning Web Components, open source and Salesforce, these are the three features that differentiate between your open source framework and the Salesforce, version. Okay. So you have base Lightning components, you have Lightning data service, you have security. Okay. All these three capabilities were added in Lightning Web Components. Okay. As part of the W3 Consortium web standards, we get all of these base components. Okay. So this is earlier version where, like, we used to have Angular, React and all. Okay. Now LWC provides a very simplified framework. Most of the features are provided in the web standards. Okay. So the base elements are accessible in open source as well, but security Lightning data service are something that is additionally available in Salesforce instance. My apologies. The base components is also available in open source. You can make use of all the base components in your open source project. Okay. But Lightning data service security, these two are not available on open source instance. These two are exclusively available only on Salesforce instance. As I told earlier, Salesforce is known for its security, the trust. Nobody cracked, there is no data violation or security violation in Salesforce till date. Okay. So I want you guys to recollect this. This is your base capability, which is available in all your browsers. Since all the capability are available in the browser, the need for the frameworks have reduced. The features that is needed in the framework has thinned. Okay. Good. So the difference, open source Salesforce base components is available in open source and Salesforce. Securely, Lightning data service is available only in Salesforce version. Okay. Well, as we work in Lightning Web Components, we'll see how Lightning data service, how the security comes into picture. Okay. So I'll create one simple Lightning component today. Okay. And I want you guys to do the setup and create Lightning component on your own. Okay. I'll share this document as well, which gives, what is the basic thing we have to do. Okay. So you have to install the VS Code. You have to add Salesforce extension pack. I believe you all done a development environment, like you all have developer edition. Okay, you enable my domain, you enable debug, and you install the CLI. These are the prerequisite. So I want you guys to do this, and tomorrow onwards, like, we can do more hands-on on LWC. Okay, I'll share this document. Okay, and I want all of you guys to try creating a component just by following the steps. Okay, so that, like, you understand what we set up in a component. Okay, it's a very simple guide. Just follow this. You would be able to build a component. You don't have to deploy this component. We will see how the deployment happens after SFTX session. I'll try to have the session later today or early tomorrow. Okay, I'll share this document. So for Lightning Web Components, let me close all of this. Okay, any questions on where we use Lightning Web Components, how we use Lightning Web Components in Salesforce? Any questions? Rupan, does this make sense? Like how we transition from basic element to Lightning Web Components, base components?
Yes, sir. It pretty seems quite understandable.
Okay. And FYI, the Lightning input, which is a base component, whenever you see Lightning input, at the end of the day, that also will render into a input HTML element. Okay, I'll really show that one. So let me just log out of these org. I've just set up this simple application form. Simple form.html. Okay. So whenever we build a Lightning web component, this is stored in a folder, the component, and it has these files. Like you have HTML file, JS file, and you can have CSS file as well. Okay. So the HTML provides the structure, JS provides the action. Basically, it manipulates the content in the HTML. And JS, we can do custom styling in the component. Okay. So let me just deploy this. Here I have something called CT input. Okay, here I'm using Lightning input, Lightning button. Okay. I'll show this in the UI, and this base component will be transformed into a HTML element, and that's what we see in the UI. Okay. In CT July. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to the LWC demo app. Okay, in this app, I have used the simple form. Okay, I believe this is the simple form which I have used. Okay, let me do a quick inspect. This is the name one label. This is the field. I'm just inspecting on this. As you can see, in the code, we used Lightning input, but it is rendered as a input field, input element, HTML element. Okay, so it is input, Lightning input, but it is rendered as input. So the base components are custom components, custom web components, which are built. Okay, and it is made available for Salesforce developers, like within the Salesforce ecosystem. Okay, so we are just mentioning the component, but this component is expanded as input field. You can use just the input field as it is, and it will give you the same UI. But if define input, you have to mention what class to use, like, what type it is, and like, the alignment, styling, everything that we have to take care. That is what pre-developed by Salesforce. Now, instead of giving the label and input, we just use the Lightning input component, which is defined here, and that is rendered as the UI. Okay. So does this make sense? Element, component. Okay, for LWC, it is just a framework. At the end of the day, it is all about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it is not something new that you guys have to learn. It's a different understanding. Okay, it's just some frameworks built on top of standard HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So there's nothing to worry about LWC. It is just a simple, like, framework. Once you understand how it works, development is easy. Okay, good. So I'll share the document where you guys can do the practice. Okay, today I know like you guys would do the system setup and all. Okay, good. Okay. Okay. Anybody have any other questions on what LWC is? That's all. I want you guys to have an answer. If someone asks what LWC is, you should be able to answer. It is a framework, lightweight framework, making use of web components. Abdullah, yes, Abdullah SM. Does this make sense? So this UI is built with LWC, which we are using in the Salesforce ecosystem. This UI is also built with LWC. Okay. So this is also built with this LWC. Just give some names here. Okay. So this component was built basically to do some, like, permutation combinations. Okay. Just giving an example. Okay. So it basically, this component accepts input and produces this table. Okay, it just gives different combinations. That's all. Okay, so such components you can build, and these components are reusable, can be used anywhere in the Salesforce platform. Yeah. Good. And when we build any Salesforce component, okay, it has the meta XML file. I want you guys to make sure, like, you understand this meta XML file, because Salesforce is a metadata driven architecture. So this meta file derives how to use this component in the platform. Okay, if you guys noticed here, it has the API version and is exposed as false. Okay, because this component is not exposed in any of the platform directly. Okay, the parent component, which is using this CT input component, is exposed, and it is exposed on a target. Okay, where this component can be used in the platform is controlled in this target. Okay, and this target, it specifies whether I can use the component in my home page, or I can use it in my app page, or I can use it in my record page, right? There are so many targets. Salesforce, you have seen the app builder, right? Last, when we try to build an app, we saw the app builder, right? So we have seen the lightning pages. Okay, that's called a record page. If I mention the target as record page, we would be able to use it in this page editor. Okay. So the components which we are building here, are exposed here, like update contact address, view or contact address. This is a custom component that we built, LWC. And this is exposed because we have mentioned my target is Lightning record page. So it is exposed in the page builder. Okay. If we mention the target as, okay, open. This is the home page. So this can be exposed only in the home page. It won't be visible in record page. If I change the page to home page, the custom components is exposed here. Okay. So this is how we expose the component and use the component in our UI. Does this make sense? How we use the component in our pages? We have seen the details tab where the page layouts were built, and we have seen dynamic web forms. Those are all like standard components. Okay, record list, okay, dynamic record. All of these are standard components. Whatever custom component we are building based on the target that is specified, we can use that component in that editor, in that builder. Okay. I want you guys to understand this so that the components that we're building can be exposed at the right builders in Salesforce platform. Okay. Without exposing these components, whatever we are building are not visible. Okay. So we need LWC. We can customize using Visualforce pages and Aura components as well. For the basics, we are not going to talk about Visualforce page and Aura components. The reason being, Aura components is again, it is a framework, but it is a bulked framework. It is built before, it is developed before HTML5. So the Aura framework is not used much. The usage has been very much limited. Visualforce pages also was built as part of classic HTML, classic Salesforce, and that is also the usage has been reduced a lot. Only the support is going on. Not much development happens in VF page. So that's why we focus only on LWC, but we will see in detail what VF page is, what Aura components are. Okay, in later down the line. Okay. And if you guys have noticed, I've mentioned LWC in both user interface and LWC in business logic. Okay. Can anyone do a guess how we can implement business logic in LWC? Where we can implement business logic in LWC? Sanjana, any guess? You guys there?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, Sanjana. Any guess where we
I
can
think
implement
it's
business logic?
flows.
LWC flows. Okay. Okay. No, actually not in flows, but anyone else? Vanilla. Any guess how we can implement business logic in LWC? Or where we can implement?
Calculating the total numbers like that.
Okay, in JavaScript we can implement business logics because as we saw, this is where all the action happens. Okay, on a button click you can validate, ensure the data is correct, the conditions are met. The business logic can be implemented in JavaScript functions as JavaScript functions. These are client side logics which we can implement. Here we are just given an example of add name. Okay. So before adding any name, we can validate, do some validations, do some condition checks. Okay. If I'm going to submit a form, we can ensure all the required fields are filled or not. Okay. Is all the fields relatively filled correctly? Okay. All that validations logic can be implemented in JavaScript in LWC. That's the reason why we have LWC as a control logic, in the controller part as well. Okay. So LWC is used both for view and controller. Okay. The view for building the UIs and as a controller to build any business logic. Okay. And via LWC JavaScript, we can access Apex classes. Okay. That is another reason, we can invoke Apex classes from JavaScript. This way, business logics can be executed. Okay. In yesterday's session, we saw how we can build some business logic using Apex programming. Apex programming can be invoked from LWC JavaScript. Okay, I'll just show an example here. So here we have written Apex programs. This controller address, contact address controller is a Apex class. And this class with the Aura enabled decorator can be accessed in LWC and can be used as a function, JavaScript function within LWC. It's a normal JavaScript function invocation. Okay. That's why LWC is used for both UI and business logic implementation. Does it make sense? Amina, are you able to follow up? Yeah. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, Amina. Sridhar?
No, sir.
Good. Rian?
No, sir.
Farhan?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. So whoever doesn't have HTML, CSS, JavaScript background, okay, it's not very hard to learn. It's easy to learn. Okay, so use W3 Schools to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Once you learn how this is related to each other, learning custom elements or learning Lightning Web Components is easy. Okay, again, it's an element, it has attributes. Okay, and JavaScript is again scripting language. Okay, it is not like Apex, but it is still very cool. It just runs at the client side. So, and also it is faster. Okay, you'll have fun working in JavaScript because it is case sensitive language, right? Even if you put one character uppercase, lowercase interchanged, you won't get the output. So you have to be very careful with the JavaScript. But we will see the details. But to an overview, as long as we know the basics, learning other things would be easier. And earlier when I asked, all of you guys have built some HTML, CSS, JavaScript, like some web pages, right? See whether you have used any JavaScript actions in those web pages, right? If you have not used, try to see where you can do that connection from HTML to JavaScript, the actions or the events, how this can be set up. Okay. Once it is set up, we can further enhance it, write more complex JavaScript programs. Good. Okay. I'll stop sharing here. Okay. I'll share the PDF with you guys. I want you guys to do the setup and create a simple Lightning component. Have anyone done the setup earlier? Like Abdullah, have you did the VS Code installation and have you done SFDX setup? Abdullah Isam?
No, sir. I installed only VS Code.
Installed only VS Code. Okay. Do we have Vignesh or Raja here? They would have done the setup.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Vignesh.
Yes, sir. We are already set up that.
Okay. Is it possible to share the screen and just create one simple Lightning component?
Okay.
Hey, we have Raghava as well. Hey, Raghava. We do
Hi,
have,
yes.
hey,
STS.
no, I like, I was just seeing who are the participants in the call.
Yeah.
So yeah, Vignesh, once you're ready, you can share your screen and just create one simple Lightning component. Yeah.
So is my screen is visible? Oh,
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay. Right. Shall I create a project or?
You can create a new project. That's okay.
Okay.
Project name, so you can give anything. So once you set up VS Code, okay, you guys would be able to, after installing the extension, you would be able to create projects, and inside the projects, you would be able to create components like Apex classes. Also, we can create here. We can create Lightning components. We can create test classes, everything. Yep. Yeah, Vignesh, you can create a simple Lightning component like Control P, create a Lightning component. To Control P, SFDX. You have to put the colon SFDX.
We have to control just.
Okay, yeah. Create Lightning Web Component. And here, like, when we create a component, make sure it's lowercase, starts with lowercase. Okay, there are some naming conventions.
Okay.
Okay, so he created a simple component. Okay, so as soon as you create a component, you see one HTML file, one JavaScript file, and one meta file. Okay, if needed, we can create a CSS file as well. Vignesh, as part of REMS, you created that CSS file also, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but that's in a different system.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah. And yeah, so I'll share the PDF. I want you guys to create one simple Lightning component. Okay, you don't have to deploy it, but if needed, like, after going through the SFDX session, the deployment can happen easily. Okay, you guys would be able to know how to do the deployment to server and all. We'll see that in later session. Good. Thanks, Vignesh. Can
Thank you, sir.
stop sharing. Yeah. Faiz, any questions, Faiz?
No, sir. Thank you for asking.
Okay, Faiz. Okay, Mahesh.
No, Riaz.
Okay, Mahesh. Okay. Okay. So guys, like, this week I'm just giving the basics. I'm just rushing through things. So the reason for that is I want you guys to have a overview, and then, like, we will go through the details. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay. That's all from me today. Okay. So please, I'll share the PDF. Please make sure you guys do the setup and create a Lightning component. Okay. If you have challenges, ping me or ping Vignesh, Raja. They both have done like Lightning components. For CTS Tech team, please ping Raghava also. He has done Lightning components. Okay. So he can make sure, like, you create the Lightning component without any error. Uh, like Imran, have you done any Lightning components before?
No, Riaz, this is my first time.
It's your first time. Okay. You have the Python background, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like, I'll share the PDF. Please make sure, like, you go through it, do the installation, and create one Lightning component. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, we will create more components as we make progress. But today, I want you guys to create one component. Okay. Great. Thanks everyone for your time. Okay, we will catch up tomorrow. But yeah, sorry, later today we will catch up on the Apex session. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.